My name is Sampsa Vilhunen. I'm the head of Marine Program at the WWF Finland. And in our office we dedicate one full working day every year for recreational fishing. As you can see in the middle of Helsinki, we have an ice fishing competition of our office, which we had to cancel this year because of climate change and there was no ice. Really unfortunate. I've been asked to, I actually want to mention as well that our CEO, Lisa Rohweder, it's a she, she's a passionate fly fisher woman. So we talk about fish and fishing quite a lot in our office, and many people in our office are actually fly fishing, and myself, I have a background in science, and I did my PhD on fish behavior, so I'm a little bit of a fish trainer myself. But today I've been asked to present a study by Boston Consulting Group that we ordered from them. It's called Turning Adversity into Opportunity, a Business Plan for the Baltic Sea. And the motivation for this study is the fact that nature conservation is usually being seen only as a cost. And the benefits are not many times turned into economics and money. Basically the study is looking at different future scenarios for the state of the Baltic Sea, and when I say the state of the Baltic Sea, that includes the state of the fish stocks, of course. And not just looking at the state of the future state of the sea, but also the interplay with businesses and their economics and possibilities in the future. For us that are scuba diving, it's pretty clear that if you go diving in the locations where there are murky waters and there's toilet paper floating all over the place and not much biodiversity, then you quite soon make a decision that you won't go there in this location again. And this is a great example of what is the interplay between the state of the waters and the business possibilities in that area. We certainly have our own big problems in the Baltic Sea. It's been cited many times as the most polluted sea in the world. I tend to think that we're actually going into a better direction at the moment, but there are lots of hazardous substances still in the fish, and there are limitations how much wild fish you're allowed to eat for many species. There's plenty of oil transport, eutrophication problem can be seen from the space, from the satellite pictures, so sometimes these toxic algae blooms might cover most of the sea. And the fish stocks are not doing that well either if you compare them to historical levels, for example. And then about the future, there's plenty of different human use for the Baltic Sea. And all this use is increasing at a rapid pace, so that by 2030, some of these human uses are extending even 300% from the current levels. And you can see there listed all these different kind of pressures that or the Baltic Sea faces. But then at the same time, politicians nationally in our regional HELCOM convention and in EU have promised us that by 2021, so quite soon, there would be a good ecological state in the Baltic Sea. And we as an organization, of course, we are kind of the watchdogs that are reminding all the time these people that, to keep their promises, because the normal citizens cannot really follow what is happening in the conservation field. And to this report, it draws these two scenarios. Basically, if we are able to lower the human ecological footprint on the Baltic Sea, and the sea use will be more integrated in the future, we can reach this state called the clear waters, which is the best case of the future scenario for the Baltic Sea. And then if we are not succeeding, for example, in fulfilling our promises for the good ecological status and implementing this Baltic Sea action plan that we have for different kind of measures protecting the sea, then we end up in this shipwreck stage, which is the worst case scenario. And in this report, especially the agriculture, commercial fisheries, and then tourism were looked at, how they will be doing in these two different scenarios, if we are able to conserve the state or not of the Baltic Sea. Then we go more into tourism because of the theme of this event. First of all, in 2012, 42 billion was generated by tourism activities in the Baltic Sea states. And coastal tourism is having an annual growth of about 5.3% since 2009. And the strongest boost has been observed in Russia with annual growth of almost 10%. And the growth is mainly driven by beach tourism, recreational boating, cruise tourism, and recreational fishing. The recreational fishing hasn't been looked at individually per se in this report, but all tourism actions are combined, unfortunately so. The demand for tourism services continues to exceed the supply in many of the Baltic Sea states. And the integrated sea use management is still inoperative, and the rate of increasing pressure on the Baltic Sea is greater than the rate of applying mitigation measures for negative impact. Then we look at more detail into these two scenarios. First, the clear water state. This basically means in this report that the environmental issues such as eutrophication, hazardous substances, overfishing have been addressed to such an extent that they no longer pose a threat to tourism industry. And a strong growth can be obtained without enlarging ecological footprint to the sea from this business. And recreational fishing has been seen particularly strong gains and advancing by almost 6% annually. And then the other scenario, if we fail in our conservation measures and our promises, the shipwreck state. It means that with continuing degradation of the environment, tourism has been unable to sustain the strong growth and is advancing only at nominal rate, few percent per year, or even 0%. And the most apparent problems can be observed in beach tourism and recreational fishing, according to this study. And fishermen, for example, are forced to visit other areas that are not facing the same problems. And then to the economic and social consequences of different scenarios. Is there a pointer here? Yeah. So first, the tourism. You can see that this is the 2030 that was used in the study. And the shipwreck state means that no extra economical benefit can be gained from tourism in the future if the state of the Baltic Sea will stay in the current state or go even worse. Whereas if we reach the clear water state, which is of course more detailedly defined in the study, we would gain 30 billion per year extra benefit, economical potential from tourism, of course including then the fishing tourism. And this would also mean, if you look at the social benefits, employment potential difference between the shipwrecked and the clear water state is 450,000 jobs. And I also took the commercial fishing here because that might give an indication, because this includes all tourism, all different kinds of tourism. But when we talk about fishing tourism, of course, that includes fish and fish stocks, how well they are doing. Then it's worth looking at also the indications of the study for commercial fishing. And here you can see that it's actually the trend is downwards for the shipwrecked state. So we would be losing a lot of jobs instead of getting more when we head to the clear water stage. So the economical potential difference is 175 million euros per year, and employment potential, this is commercial fisheries, is 16,000 jobs. But the biggest benefits can be gained at tourism, definitely, I think money-wise, and then taking into consideration what the study shows for the commercial fishing, I think the future scenarios for the fishing tourism are not bad at all if we just take care of the state of the sea. Then to the more general issues, you all of course know that nature-based tourism, ecotourism sometimes called, and nature conservation have a long tradition supporting each other. And ecotourism is seen as an alternative and less consumptive way to economically benefit of natural resources. And then in turn, nature-based tourism is dependent on preserving the environment and emphasizing the need for effective environmental management. At the moment, we argue that recreational fishing is often seen as additive to commercial fishing with no clear, for example, national or EU-wide targets and no according management methods. And the desired outcome that we would all like to see, money-wise, social-wise, how many jobs fishing tourism could create, will not be obtained only by restricting commercial fisheries, but through a shared vision including effective management. We know the current state of the new common fisheries policy and how badly the recreational fishing and angling is taken into consideration there, so it's not looking very positive in that field. And just to be clear that we are not on either side, either on the commercial fisheries side or recreational fisheries side, but WWF view is that we support fishing that is sustainably managed, effectively regulated and enforced, and conducted in a manner that it does not damage or threaten any habitats, natural habitats, or populations of target and non-target species. Because recreational, professional fishing is still very important for us to get the local fish on the table. This is many times the attitude of the locals and local communities that stop playing with our food. And this actually means that the successful management of fishing tourism development, we think, comes from respecting not only the ecological and economical sustainability, but also livelihoods and lifestyles of local communities. And I've been to a couple of these kind of seminars on the same theme as this one. And I would like to see, I don't know if they were invited or not, but I'd like to see also professional fishermen to be part of these discussions, so they wouldn't feel that you guys or this business would be threatening them. And also the politicians, for example, in the Ministry of Agriculture, they have separate sections in the same building, but several different sections for recreational fishing and commercial fisheries, whereas this should be, of course, dealt together, and then we would have a much better outcome, we think. And also the fishing tourism is suffering from decades of cultural imperialism favoring commercial fisheries over recreational ones. And the degradation of environment and the fish stocks has made fisheries a sensitive issue, at least in the Baltic Sea. And I would argue maybe in the EU as well, the whole EU. And also this exclusive fishing tourism is many times easily criticized because the rather low number of fishermen that are typically from higher income brackets, bringing forward implications of elitism, and at least in the opinion editorials and these kind of writings in the media. And my conclusions for this presentation are that the health of the Baltic Sea is not only an environmental concern, but an important economic and social matter. And I'm sure this applies worldwide. And the future possibilities of tourism industry are highly dependent on solving the current environmental challenges. And the two scenarios that I introduced for tourism display a difference of annual 30 billion euros and 450,000 jobs by the year 2030. And the development and management of fishing tourism must be conducted in a manner that does not extend the ecological pressure on the sea and also respects the social and cultural structures of local societies and communities that have been there for sometimes hundreds of years. But actors in private sector are in good position to contribute to a change in the future, as the environmental challenges may provide also multiple business opportunities. Thank you, and you can Google this report if you want to get more detailed information about it. Thank you.